Welcome to Rise Up in Business, the law podcast for small business owners. I'm your host, Tracy Milacrane. I'm a business lawyer, an entrepreneur, and very much a realist. Rise Up in Business is designed to share with small business owners important legal information and some clever tips and tricks in short and sharp episodes, no legal jargon. With this podcast, I want to empower small business owners to rise up and take control in their business. I'll be here every Wednesday to tell you exactly what you need to know without sending you to sleep. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to episode 3. In this episode, I'm going to talk about business structure. Getting the right business structure is really important for the operation of your business and for future growth. I often say that business structure is one of the first things small business owners really need to think about when they're either setting up or after things have changed. So what I mean by that is business grows. When business grows, things change. Perhaps your services change. Perhaps the volume of your goods change. Perhaps you're dealing with more suppliers, more employees. Hopefully you're making much more money. But it's something that we need to constantly be conscious of to make sure that we have the right business structure for us. There are several options for a business structure. Generally speaking, what I mean when I say that are sole trader, partnership, a company or a corporate entity, and a trust structure. In my experience, most small business owners say to me, I'm just a small business. I'm just going to be a sole trader for now and see if this works. If it works, if this goes well, then I'll look at business structure later. And that's okay sometimes, but it's not okay always. It really does depend on your unique situation, what it is your business does, and where it is you want your business to go. So for example, if you have a thriving little business and you have big plans for growth, scaling, up-leveling, you've got a vision, then it's likely that a sole trader structure is not going to suit you for very long. Yes, we can change the business structure later. Of course we can. Nothing's set in concrete. Of course we can change it later. But it's not as easy as it sounds. The trap that some of my clients fall into is there's so much to do as a small business owner. I don't want to think about business structure right now. I've got so much else to think about and worry about. I'll deal with it later. Now, either later never comes, or when it comes, the headache attached with changing that business structure is serious. There's administrative issues, insurance issues, bank issues, licensing, client contracts, retainers. You often need to start again in many respects if you have contracts that are existing with suppliers, clients, insurance, then you've got your workers' comp. It is complicated. Now, I don't want that to put you off changing your business structure later if you need to, because things have changed and perhaps a corporate entity is going to suit you better. Please, I don't want that to put you off. All I'm saying is it really is something that's worth thinking about sooner rather than later, because you could be doing yourself a favour by jumping on that sooner rather than later. When we are thinking about our business structure, some of the key things I encourage my clients to think about are what it is you want your business to achieve. So what is your long-term vision? Your personal liability and asset protection. We all know that as a sole trader, we're liable for all of the responsibilities and liabilities within our business. That's slightly different for a corporate entity. We have to think about tax. We don't like to think about tax. Often we don't like to think about tax. I actually don't have a problem thinking about tax. I'm very happy to pay tax. It means I'm making a lot of money. Tax is not a bad thing from my perspective, but it is a discussion to have with the accountant. Hopefully all of my listeners, small business owners, have good accountants. It is a discussion to have with your accountant because it's an important conversation to have depending on your revenue in your business and how it is you're dealing with that revenue and your distribution. So I don't intend for a moment to talk about financial matters, but I do encourage clients to talk to their accountant about that because it's very important from a business structure perspective. Insurance requirements differ between sole traders and corporate entities. And my favourite element of this discussion is flexibility. So if we're a sole trader and we grow and we want to bring on partners or we want to bring on investors, guess what? A sole trader structure doesn't allow for that. It doesn't lend itself at all to partnership or bringing people in or investors. It's complicated. A corporate entity, on the other hand, does. It gives you flexibility. If you're a corporate entity and you're operating as a corporate entity, not only do you have a level of asset protection, but you've got some flexibility when you want to bring on partners, because guess what? They'll be called shareholders and you issue shares in your company. It also gives you flexibility when you want to bring in investors, because perhaps you might be able to offer shares in return for an investment, for example. That's one option. There are many, but that's the benefit that you get when you're operating under a corporate entity, so as a company. So that's this Pty Ltd and the end of your name. That's what I mean by a company. Many people find it confusing to distinguish between the sole trader and the corporate entity. The way I answer that is very simply, the sole trader is you, an individual, in your individual name. So it's me, Tracy Myler Crane. The corporate entity, however, that's not you. The corporate entity is different. In my case, it's TM Solicitor Pty Ltd. That's the company that operates this business. It doesn't have to be that complicated, and if you get the right advice from the right advisors, they can really help you distill what it is that you are looking for and what options are best going to suit your needs. The other two business structure options that I mentioned were partnership and a trust structure. I'm not going to go into a trust at all because that's something that I think you're better placed to talk to your accountant about. It's not as common anymore. A partnership, however, is something that I'll just touch on before we finish up. So the partnership is when either you as an individual or your company is in partnership with another individual or another company for the purpose of carrying on business and making a profit. It's that simple. There is legislation that governs it. There's rules around it. There's law around it. That's what a partnership is. And in my experience, when people are working together to carry on a business with the hope of making a profit, they're either doing it as a partnership or they're doing it as shareholders in a company. It's really important to be clear on what it is you want to achieve out of this partnership so you can work out which structure is going to suit you better. Because once you know what you want to achieve, you can work out whether that partnership is going to work for you, in which case we get your partnership agreement drawn up and your accountant can set it up for compliance. Or if it's going to better suit, then we set up your corporate entity and your shareholders, and then we start talking about your shareholder agreement and we talk about your duty as directors and who's going to be the directors. I hope that's been helpful in distilling some of the volumes of information that's out there around business structures. And I hope now, after listening to that, you know that it's actually not as complicated or as overwhelming as you possibly thought. And now would be the time to have the discussion with your lawyer or your accountant to make sure that you are operating under the best business structure to suit you. Because trust me, you'll be doing yourself a favour if you get it right. That's it for today's episode. Short and sharp, just like I promised. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, and I would be most grateful if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. As always, remember to keep your business legals in order with my Business Legal Strength Check. Grab your free copy by heading over to my website, tmsolicitor.com.au. I'll catch you next Wednesday. Thanks so much for listening.